Can you hear me okay, Todd? 'Cause I've
Yeah,
got a
I can
mic.
hear you.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're a little fuzzy, but you're fine. You're good.
Okay.
It'll be fine. It's no biggie. Oh my God, this is just insane. This one thing after another. My sleep schedule is for over a month has been upside down, pretty
Has it?
much. Yeah,
God,
pretty
I'm just
much.
crashing out.
Huh?
I'm just
Yeah.
crashing out.
I yesterday was really weird because I've been staying up until anywhere from that's 11:11 on the West Coast. We kicked off. Tell you, yeah, I've been staying up until anywhere from 4 to 8 in the morning,
Oh,
and I can't. I haven't taken anything like melatonin,
yeah.
but yesterday I slept like 2 hours. Got up, couldn't go to sleep. Back to sleep. I went to bed at 6. Get up at like 8.
Yeah.
Then I go back to sleep around 10. I think I got up at 1. Did 3 shows. Got off the shows. Laid down. Fell asleep for 3 hours. Woke up.
Wow.
And it's now 11 o'clock. Now I'm up talking to Morgan, and now it's 4 o'clock. I tried to go to bed early, and God, it's just crazy. And the purging's ridiculous.
Yes.
How about you? It's not about me. How about you? How's it going? It's good to have you back. I love having you on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's lovely to be back, Todd. Really lovely. And I was determined to get outside for this one. So you can all enjoy the view and just
Spain, España.
Yeah, España, yes, up in the mountains in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada.
Oh man, yeah. I have my little mountain here in a little bitty town, my little forest. I feel like, it's crazy what's happening.
It
I'm
really is.
I don't know about you, but even when I'm in awakened state. Obviously, if I'm doing a show and get into a conversation, but I was thinking about this last night. How was it going? This was actually, like communion, and it was about. There's a multi-dimensionality to our awakening, which is obviously the things that we pull in. Right. Like everyone's got different clairs, and some people underestimate their clairs, but I think they're all, they're coming on board. It's getting louder. But what I was getting last night was there's a multi-dimensionality in the human aspect alone. And I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? Well, Franco talks about the soul lineage and then the human lineage. And I've asked him this question many times. I said, well, is the human aspect a soul? A standalone soul? And in the end, yes, it is. So I was having a conversation with Todd Medina, who's called Todd Medina in this incarnation.
Yeah.
So Todd Medina being all of the human lineage. So all of the lineage that's what's called Todd Medina, standalone human soul. I was that voice, the voice of Todd, which was so and so in the past and so in the past, but all Earth incarnations. So I'm having a conversation with that part of me, and I guess we would call the higher self. And so they separated, and I was able to tap into what part. In other words, I was able to differentiate the human lineage from the soul lineage, and it was really interesting because in that transmission, I know I'm not going to get this right. I've always felt like the human species was coming out. Like, yes, we're souls, we embody species, but the species themselves are our vehicles and our schools, our universities, like the human lineage, say it came from Lyrian and Syrian and, however. And so what it was explaining to me was that the human aspect itself has a multidimensionality, and that's what we're getting used to, or that's maybe they were talking to me, which was the body having its own consciousness, the mental being treated separately, the emotional, and of course the spiritual, and then the fusion of the soul and the human. At the end of the thing, it was like I'm trying to be funny, but it was really giving me this message. It was like, you are the human, you are the soul, integrated with the human consciously, all of you. This is what's happening, but it's much more than all that. It's this human itself, which has a multiplicity to it, that you guys are getting comfortable with, which makes a lot of sense because of what everyone's been talking about with the body, especially this year. How about you? How's 2021 been for you?
I would say it was a rough start.
Right.
It was a rough start.
Isn't it funny how that happens? It seems like because I've never really kept track of it till around 2017, 2018, 2017. But it seems like around 11/11, November 11th, things kind of like something gets shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
And then you go through, my birthday's in December, and then you have the what is it? The winter solstice. And then it's kind of like a lull, and then January 11th comes and it shoots off again. And then January and February, the last 3 or 4 years have been what you described. It's like a rough start.
It's a rough start. And that's from a Scots point of view. So no, it has been rough, but there's also, it's like everything's happening all at once. It's a really strange experience. So if there's moments where you think, oh my God, this is just overwhelming. It's too much. I don't know what to feel. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to think. I don't really know who I am. I don't know where the F I'm going. And then exactly as you're thinking those thoughts, you know exactly, you know all the answers. You can feel everything. You can feel the clarity. You can see the bigger picture. So this whole thing of experiencing everything at once and feeling everything at once and being able to see the different aspects of ourselves, but also within the collective or within our loved ones, it's becoming so much stronger. And I truly believe, that's because we're coming into our truth as well, where it's like the whole of humanity is coming out of this chrysalis, and we're all coming out of our own little chrysalises at the same time, and it's just one great big opening up.
Yeah.
And I think we all just cope with it in our own way.
We don't really have a choice if you're not laughing, though.
Yeah, it's funny because the last time I spoke to you, I had sort of like disappeared off social media. I'd stuck my fingers up at the world, and I was like, you can all F off. I'm going to hibernate up here in the mountains and not coming out. And I delved into like kava and crisps, and I went down the whole comfort route. And now there's been like 180-degree turn. It's like I can't have crisps. Alcohol is just not, my body just won't accept it anymore. Everything that was sort of heavier, my body is just going, nope. It's like, nope. And I'm going like, wow. So that's the old Sally.
It's trippy.
And this new Sally is just, well, she's going to have another juice today, and she can't face a glass of kava. So, hey,
don't feel like the Lone Ranger, because I mean, I got back from Sedona from the Soulogy Fest. I got back on the 7th or the 8th of June, right before the eclipse. It was on the 9th, and I started juicing, which I had tried, a few times, but I've actually, now it's been probably like 6 weeks. I've probably juiced 4 to 6 glasses a day for probably, if that's 30 days, probably 26 days. Yeah. And I eat a little bit, but I'm finding I can't. And I'll tell you a quick story. I didn't even tell Morgan this last night because I didn't get a chance to. I didn't remember, but I talked to her, so it would have been after all the shows, and we talked for a while, and I thought, I got to go to sleep. I told her I'm falling asleep. So I fell asleep. Or before I fell asleep, I thought, well, I'm going to run out and grab something to eat because I'm just too tired to juice. Yeah. So I went over to this restaurant, And I haven't eaten much meat. It's not a big deal. It's not like something I crave. I haven't been drinking since June 7th, which I didn't drink a lot, but like you said, it doesn't even taste right. It doesn't feel right. My body's like, no. So I went out last night. I thought, I'm going to treat myself. I like to do that every now and then, just treat myself. So I went around the corner. I ordered a salad, a beautiful salad. It was a strawberry pecan something. It was like, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to have a salad. I'm going to have a nice entree and a vegetable. I ordered, and I don't even know why, but I don't ask my higher self. I ordered a plate, which I haven't had in years. I ordered a plate of ribs and catfish, right? We're in the South. So the ribs come, I take one bite and I'm chewing on it going, and I'm sitting at the bar, right? And the lady comes up and goes, "Are you okay, sir?" I said, "No, this is really bad. I'm not a big meat eater, but I just thought I'd like a tender rib, just one. I wasn't going to eat the whole thing." So I sent it back, which I never do that at a restaurant. Yeah. But I just couldn't eat it. So then I said, "Well, why don't you bring me your smallest steak, and I'm going to try that." She brought it. I took one bite. I'm like, I spit it out. She goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Look, don't worry about it. I'll just pay for it. I'm out of here." But this is the point. And I drove away thinking, why did that taste like? It tastes literally like just like leather. Like I couldn't eat it. I just couldn't eat it. And I don't think I'll be able to. So these are the things that are happening, right?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't eaten meat since I was like in my 20s. So many, many, many years. But my sensitivity to other people eating it has increased. So it is happening. We are becoming more sensitive to energies that are around us. Our bodies are becoming lighter in many ways. We're becoming more crystalline. We're becoming more energy rather than physical. For a technical way of putting it.
It's true.
But it's true. And, I look out at these mountains and, up here on the roof, and I love coming up here because, there's nothing around us. And these mountains, they're solid. They're absolute, it's solid, physical Mother Earth. And yet a lot of the time, it's hazy, it's fluid, it's not solid. And it's really incredible to start seeing the earth differently to how we did even just like a couple of months ago, let alone like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because our whole vision is changing, our bodies are changing, our preferences, priorities, because, we're shifting, we're shifting out of the old ways. So we can't expect to still be able to do everything that we used to do before, because it's not just beliefs or mindset, it's everything, it's all that we are.
It's a massive change. And if you sit and think about it, which you probably can relate, because even though I live in the middle of this little town, now that Morgan's gone, I spend all my time alone. And that's one of the things. I sit here now and then after a show, or like I had an incredible show yesterday. Actually, all of them were, but we had a lady come on, Susan Bornstein out of Canada, who's been on before. She's like, what do they call it? She's an older lady. I forget what they call that. The crone. She's got like that crone energy. Yeah. And so she's getting on, and I thought somebody was helping her set it up. And it was her daughter, who's 42 years old, who is a year and a half into transitioning from a man. And Susan, in her genius, decided synchronistically to give to the energy that was presenting itself, and they both came on.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing show I've done in 3,000 shows, because there was the comparison of the journey of Annie compared to her mother, Susan. and they had just over 7 days aligned with her decision, and so on and so on. And Susan's words were, I finally realized that what my Annie is doing is the same thing I'm doing. She's finding her sovereignty. She's finding her voice. And oh my God, it was the most incredible show. And I'm going to point to this, but so this Annie has gone through the transition with her partner, who was the mother and is the mother to her two children, who now has two mothers. Yet the whole family came together and supported the situation in the middle of quarantine last year. So I get off the show, and that was an amazing show. I get off the show and I'm like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Like, this is really, really happening. I mean, like, there's no question. And the last part of that story is I'm talking to Morgan, and she just spent 3 hours with a lady in Hervey Bay, Australia, which is not a big place. So she's there. This lady saw her on social media. I'm coming down to Hervey Bay. Let's get together. They have dinner one night. And then yesterday, they spent 3 hours together and had lunch. And she was telling me about it. And I said, oh, wow, she sounds like she's like 64 years old, sold everything 3 years ago. Sound familiar? Living in a house sitting situation, decides that she's going to leave. Now she's on the road, 64 years old. Her whole family thinks she's crazy. And I told Morgan, I said, I wonder how many there are. How many women have stuck their stake in the ground and said, no more, I am soul, and I am going to anchor the divine feminine. You know what I mean? I mean, it's how many of these women that you never see are out there doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. It is incredible what's happening. And, I've been quite open, on social media, that I'm going through the menopause, and it is such a transition. Nobody prepares you for this shift and transition and transformation. Nobody at all. And it's not until you're in it that you realize that everything about you is changing.
Yeah.
And it's changing for the good, because you're coming into your power. And, it's like you were saying, women are waking up. Women are coming into their power, and they're not afraid now to step up and say, do you know what? For all these years, I've wanted to do this, or I've wanted to try that, or I've wanted to move or follow my heart, and I've never maybe had the courage or the opportunity or the, any way of doing it. But so many women now are saying, right, this is it. Yeah. I'm not going to compromise anymore. I'm not going to live my life in the shadows anymore. I'm not going to hand my power away. I'm going to learn to have beautiful, honoring boundaries. I'm going to learn to speak my truth and say what is actually going on inside, instead of putting on that, that polite of yes or no. So, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, okay. But no, actually, so many more women are being courageous and saying, this is me and this is who I am. And I find it incredibly inspiring to hear about these women that go through a whole lot more, than, perhaps what I've been through and am going through. But it is beautiful to see. And I
was laughing because in perfect timing, Jamie Williams, who I met in Sedona, her and her beautiful husband, she says,
yes.
Yeah, I met her in Sedona, her and her husband.
I know, I was so wanting to be there.
We'll be doing more, I'm sure, in time. But you bring up a really good point. And that's another thing, too. If I look back, somebody who was not, I read for probably 25 years pretty voraciously books that involve the subject matter of the things that we discuss in these communities and on this show. But if I look back, 2011, wake up, a couple years on the streets, come and get a laptop, and I start to interface with people, and I start to participate in communities, and of course, Soulogy, but I'm talking about empath communities, Starseed, and so on. But the thing that was the starter you know, and I want to say around 2015 was really when women started to say, hey, my team just came in and said it's time to step up, and you saw it. You saw it in all the communities. I mean, I looked the other day at Soulogy, and it started out at and I'm talking like 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah. It was 92% women, and the demographics are pretty good. I mean, in terms of like comparison to other groups or the community. Now it was at 68 women, 32 men, and that's in 8 years or. So that's a good sign. But what I'm trying to say is there's been this pattern that I've noticed, like we were talking about with like at the end of the year in January and February, September is always completion. I mean, Lionsgate's August. I mean, here we are in the thick of the summer and it's burn, baby, burn. But the one thing that's been consistent has been the deliberate expansion, the steady expansion of the divine feminine energy, which is primarily represented in the physical by women like you. And there is something different with that energy in the last 2 or 3 months. Like there's something totally different. Like the baton has been handed off to her.
Yeah, I feel it. You know, I feel it. I've actually read, I think it was it today or yesterday that Morgan put a post up saying, here she is, or there she is. And
she sent me a message last night, and it said something like that. And I haven't even been on Facebook, so I would imagine, probably last night.
It was, and it lit me up. It was like, yes, this, you know? And,
yeah.
And I think it's really encouraging because I think a lot, you know, I want to say the old days for a better way of putting it. In the old days, if a woman sort of like stuck her head up above the parapet, you know, there was a lot of other women would shoot her down, or there was competition, or there was jealousy. And it was seen as, you know, who do you think you are? But now seeing women in all walks of life coming into their own is actually celebrated and supported, and that is a huge shift in awareness. And there's nothing. I remember, what was it? Well, we've been here sort of 3-4 years. About 5 years ago, I used to do the holistic fairs in Scotland, and I used to do readings and channelings at the holistic fair. And I was sat at my little table, and people would come, and I'd give them a reading. And this one day, it was literally a whole stream of women, and the reading was practically the same for every single one. The whole underlying message was, it's your time. It's time for you to come into your own. It's time for you to stand up. It's time for you to branch out and, you know, start your own self-discovery, because we really haven't got a clue who we are until this process starts. And I remember thinking, wow, because I used to run Wild Women retreats with my soul sister, Jo Beth Young. And we used to have women come into that. And that's going back about 6-7 years ago. So if I look back to that beginning of even how we shared that information and that, I don't want to say process, but embodiment, you know, and how we helped free people up or see things from a different angle or to see themselves through self-discovery. It's almost like now women are just doing it themselves. It's just happening. It's not something that you have to think about, because it is just happening, and you can feel yourself changing. And it's incredibly beautiful and empowering. It's also scary as hell, because you're letting go of everything that you thought you were.
That's right.
And you're having to find your feet in the same life, but find your feet.
It's important. It's important. It's the same pattern that we're seeing. I guess that's what I'm saying. That's what you're explaining too. And that's how it has to work. Okay. Because if you go back, say 10 years, we know, and you still see it. You still see it. I mean, Soulogy Fest was 100 people. There would have been 80 women. Okay. And it was incredible what was happening there, because it was like a glimpse of what we're all getting into. And that's what it was. It was that energy, basically creating the container of creativity. Now, in order for that to happen, two things have to happen. And let's just say that's a microcosm. One, the energy of she in me, in you, whatever, has to say, hey, I've had enough of this, right? And then the second part is they have to have a field of creation that they are supported.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about, as an example, the energetic impact and implant of years of suppression. And we're talking burnings and murders and rapes and what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm seeing, including my beloved, right? My beloved, she got the download. I picked it up 2 days later. Most of it was telepathic, but to the humans, we're like, holy crap, we got to be separated. And we knew the other alignment. So we knew that it was right, and love is free. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but what I saw then and what I'm seeing more and more of, even with the friend she met yesterday, and I could go right down the list and name probably off the top of my head 25 women that in the last 6 months that have displayed this. And what that is to be in an environment, no judgment.
Yeah.
And no matter what it is, be it a relationship, a location, an organization, you're standing in a social community, whatever, where they go, either this changes or I'm changing or I'm leaving. In other words, what's happening is they're anchoring in their field wholly and whole. And then those serve as epicenters, like vortexes, regeneration or refueling stations, or remembering stations for other souls. And I believe that it's predominantly women because they are closest to the higher frequencies, as evidenced by our history and women's intuition and so on, but it's amazing. And it's evidently it's not going to stop, and it's moving very fast. It's moving very fast too.
It really is, and there's no stopping it, and who wants to stop it anyway? Because this is our way, this is our path, not just to the freedom of the feminine, but it's also freedom for the masculine.
Absolutely.
They're going to have to move through their process and their journey in allowing the feminine to become all that she is.
Yeah.
That means that their old masculine ways, the patriarchal ways, they're going to be challenged, because their stability and everything they know as normal is going to start falling away and crumbling underneath them. So even though the feminine is rising and becoming stronger, the masculine is going to follow. But I think it's going to be a tough ride for some men out there who don't want to let go of men in charge.
Ooh, yes. Okay. So, and I'm watching this happen. And so over the last 5+ years being with Morgan, she had a lot of this intel. Like I'm telling you, she had this intel, and even long before she met me, which was, day in, day out of writing down, like a lot of people do, journals. But in these downloads, and I'm talking like, 2000, 2005, 2010, her and people like her were getting information about what's happening now, which included the new grid, how things work, the rise of the feminine, the reformation of the masculine, and all this stuff, ascension related stuff. And, since that time, slowly but surely, I've had a bead on the masculine's evolution, probably because I'm part of it. And I have noticed a couple things. I've noticed that in the last 3 to 4 months, 5 months, there's more masculine energy, true masculine energy, stepping forth in a physical incarnation that's male.
Yeah.
Meaning it's different, right? Yeah. It's a different power. It's a power of less talking and more listening and space holding. empathy, fright, confusion, agitation. I mean, yeah, that energy in all of us is struggling because we don't realize how deep it goes. And as a last example, a lot of times I realize the power and the symbology of sacred sexuality. And of course, I'm not just talking about physical intimacy, but that can be part of it. But if you look at that scenario as the playground, say it's between two people, and you use that as a microcosm of what's going on in the whole, the dance of the energy in the whole in this realm, which you've got to say there's a masculine, feminine kind of thing happening. The last line of polarity or separation. But if you look at that and you take into, in your visual, intimacy, well, our intimacy, number one, has been initiated by the male. And again, we're talking energy playing out in the physical, who is already distorted, who can only operate based on what they've been shown, which is nowhere near their real power and so on. So immediately when the interaction starts, it's doomed because the energy of her has compromised and accommodated to exist. And I know you can relate to this, like you just wanted to fit in, you're not from here, all that stuff coming out in the most basic, energetic, intimate, patterns of our existence. So I thought about that. And I thought, wow. So using that as a metaphor, as an example, how does this change now? Well, basically, the energy of he shows up and doesn't do anything. Like, what's going to happen if she leads? What's going to happen if I call one of my male friends up and say, hey, man, I'm having a problem. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about you mentioned a 180 a while ago. We're talking about a complete 180 here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the essential prerequisite to it is this patriarchal programming in all of us that takes a conscious effort to not, in a second nature kind of way, just walk down that old neural pathway, but to actually create a new one through conscious effort and conscious collaboration between two or more. It's
so much is going to change. And, there's a lot of people, and I totally get it, because change is scary. Change is, it's letting go of everything that's the comfort zone, letting go of everything that's supposed to have been normal and secure and safe. And now all of that is just falling away. We can see it just in everyday life, let alone in the balance between the masculine and feminine. So much is changing.
Yeah.
And, we have to let go. We have to surrender to it. And for a lot of people, and especially for a lot of men, letting go of control is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And I'm talking as a recovering control freak. So, I know it's possible, we can do it, and life is completely different after that. But for people that want to hold on to the old ways, because that is their security and their stability, that struggle is just going to keep intensifying, and the lessons and the experiences are going to keep getting stronger and more challenging until they just think, oh, do you know what? I give up. I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to allow and see what happens.
Yes.
And that's when the magic begins.
I don't watch much TV. I do put the thing in my hand and I sit there and just go place to place. I never stop on anything. It's really just processing. But since I've been back over the last 2 or 3 nights, I'm doing work while I had the TV on. And what I've noticed is the last 3 or 4 things that I've watched with any longevity, and I don't make it through the whole show normally, but have been horror movies.
Really?
And I'm going, why am I watching these movies, right? Well, they weren't like horror movies like Michael, like Psycho but they were thriller, intellectual type, right?
Okay.
So I'm watching this, and every time you're watching something, it always comes out. Oh, this is what's relevant. Yeah. But the there was one I was watching a couple nights ago, and it was about this woman who was single and had a teenage daughter, and her daughter went to go stay with the husband or the father and came back, and now the mother has a young boyfriend.
Okay.
And the daughter's like, he's like really hot, and she's like, like a teenager going, oh my God, she's all, but she realizes something's not right. Now, the great thing about this movie, and I'm sitting here doing my work and I'm listening to, why the hell am I watching this? But in the movie, all of the distorted masculine was presented. And I should say distorted, I should say patriarchal, in fairness to men, because it shows up, but we know what we're talking about. And it was control, what am I trying to say? A lack of confidence, an insecurity that comes out in arrogance, belligerence, control, gaslighting, all those things. And I'm like looking at it going, oh my God. And then the moral to the story was how this young feminine energy said, I've had enough. I don't care what happens, but I'm not living like this. Mm-hmm. And I went, wow. Yeah. Wow. That pretty much says it. How does Morgan meet a 64-year-old woman in Hervey Bay, Australia, who has declared her independence and her sovereignty 5 years ago, and is, like many of us, accepting of the fact that I may never have contact with my kids and my family again. Mm-hmm. I got 6 kids. Yeah. But there's something going on here. Like, what we give up, we never lose, but it's in the giving up that right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, and it's that giving up. It's that allowing and letting go that's the hardest thing. I've just been a little bit distracted, and people could see like black sort of dots flying around. It's the swallows. They've come in to feed, so they're just flying around at the moment, and it's one of my go-to things in the summer when the swallows are here. Is just coming up onto the roof and being with them.
Wow. There we go. No, hey, I'm totally into the birds. I love birds. Mm-hmm. I love them. I really do. God, there was something else I was going to ask you about. Because, another thing too, I don't know how you feel about this, but I know because you've been out there. So you have this connection over the years. All of us are different. The Claridge are different, but you know that it's more than this, right? And so you're getting information one way or the other. And then you have this burgeoning aspect that you didn't even know, which is this multiplicity to the human itself. Because the human isn't just this. The human is the mind. It's the body. Now the body's gotten loud and so on. And so then you're sitting there, and I don't know about you, but especially the last couple of weeks, I walk around going, what am I doing? What do I need to do? Why am I in the kitchen? What day is this? What month is this? Right. And so it's almost like the impetus for transformation has gone from knowledge we're getting to the actual present experience. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's okay, if I go down the corner to the store and buy something, I'm more conscious of my interaction between me and the clerk. And I don't mean in a superficial way. I mean, I'm walking into this place. It has a certain energy. I go grab my water or whatever. I go to check out. I'm exchanging with the soul right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Everything is more acute. Yes. The way they look, what they might say, the mannerism they might have. It's like everything has something in it to guide me, because I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is a whole new lifestyle, and there's a whole new set of points of context, and most of them I'm not familiar with in my recent past. Mm-hmm. Maybe in my past life or something, but or maybe something looks familiar. Oh, wow, that's how it works. But it's a whole different language.
Yeah.
To me, this is a part of the reason I enjoy being alone, because when I go out, it literally takes conscious effort.
I know what I'm feeling, for example, is that, well, it's like you're saying, everything is more acute, everything is more connected. It's like you're seeing everything in like great big vision goggles. So it's exactly the same. You go into the shop, you buy whatever it is, and you leave. That's how it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah,
feel it all.
it's like you're right. It's like a dimensional experience.
Yeah.
You go into the store and you buy a bottle of water, and it used to be, what it was, and now it's a totally different thing. Like, what did that mean?
Spiritual awakening when you're getting your water.
I know.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how we are getting so much more connected with what is around us and who's around us? We're not. I don't want that superficiality. That superficiality is just absolutely falling away. There's people desperately trying to keep up their barriers and keep up the facade.
Yeah.
But the people that I'm really connecting with are the ones that have the courage to say, this is who I am. This is how I'm feeling. This is what's happening to me. What's going on in the world? And people are not so worried about that facade as much as they used to be.
I know.
That facade of, I'm fine. Yes, the world's beautiful, isn't it? And underneath they're absolutely raging, or they're moving through grief, and they don't allow themselves to be seen. But now, because so much more compassion and awareness and groundedness, I think, has come in, we're giving each other permission to be exactly where we are, to feel how we feel, to be supported in all of that, and to be understood in all of that, and not to be ostracized. There's such a growth and an awakening, and it's beautiful, and it was much needed. Well,
it's time, and that's the thing too, is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but I spend a lot of time, especially now, more than even before, which was a lot. And that's just these conversations, this dialogue. And one of the things that, and I was thinking about this too, that like a couple of days ago, I was thinking, wow, what was your mindset, Todd, 10 years ago when you started having divine episodes and apparitions and domes appearing and, Jesus appearing and I thought, okay, what's different between then and now? Because then, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, there was almost like this, wow, I know something's going to happen. Like I'm going to this sanctuary and I know something's going to happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been called here, like this knowing, like there was that whole thing going on. And to me, I kind of got, okay, they were trying to get your attention. Then you locked into the game, and then the journey started. Now today, it's changed. Today, I'm going, whoa, wait a minute. There's people like Morgan from 1999, or Sally, or Mary Rodwell, or Pamela Johnson from the Harmonic Convergence, or Franco 36 years, or Sandra Walter, or there's all these people that are following the same vision, which is really like a prophecy. And we're living in those times. We're living in a time when all the sacred texts were referring to this time. Like we've got all this evidence, Galactic Federation, the Bible, all this stuff, the Yugas, all this stuff. And we're living here in this time. Like that's mind blowing. Like, are we actually living in a time when death itself will be transcended on a collective scale? We're not even talking about one issue here. We're talking about a whole myriad of issues, including teleportation, bilocation, telekinesis, full telepathy, intuitive, operating our lives through intuition as opposed to logic. There's all this stuff on the board. And this is us?
Yeah, this is us.
Wow.
Yeah, this is it. You think of, the shamans. They've been doing this forever, you know, and we're really just catching up on their ability to shapeshift, to connect and communicate on a whole new level. We're catching up.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's right, you know, there's almost like there's so much happening, but we're getting used to this shift and this change, and our sensitivities heightening and our awareness expanding and our bodies changing. And then all of a sudden you can get this moment of like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And you suddenly, like, just like you were explaining, the bigger picture is suddenly there, and you think, shit, this is it. This is it. And, you know, I'm part of it. You're part of it. We're part of it. And, you know, we're all finding each other as well. That's what I'm finding. I'm really finding I'm being pulled towards the people that are absolutely on this path of holding the energy and of moving with the transformation. And it's very encouraging. We're not on our own. We're not. There's people all around the globe. And because we're communicating and connecting with each other, we can feel it building even more. And that obviously magnifies it and brings the transformation and the shift through with more ease, with more grace, because we're all supporting it. It's not, you know, it's not just like one sad and lonely in the Spanish mountains going, hello, everyone. Time to wake up now.
Well, that's a beautiful place there.
It's stunning. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of this, excuse me. There used to be this meme I had in my file back, you know, when I would fill stuff up in Soulogy every 2-3 months, I'd run the memes in again. Yeah. But there's this one meme, and this guy, he's got his back to the camera, and he's got his arms outstretched, you know, his above his shoulders, and he says, "Who am I that God would know my name?" And I've always looked at that and thought, wow, you know, I don't usually like attach to anything that says the word God. I rather see universe, but there's something in that that's praise, that's inspirational, that's great, you know, in gratitude, and it's the honor, the respect, the reverence, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. And then the other thing too is, like, you're talking about these connections made with like-minded souls. Like, you're seeing more and more evidence of these connections being made, sometimes physicalized, not that has to happen.
No,
but you can see it.
Yeah.
You know, I see it in Soulogy. If I go back 2 or 3 years and I think about people like Gayatri from India, Gayatri Singh, or Marita Shashan from Israel, now Portugal, these women have these stories of, oh, I've been connecting for 20 years. I disengaged from my family 20 years ago. They think I'm crazy. I don't know how I've made it this far. Somehow or another, the universe always provides for me. And here we are 20 years later. They find a group like Soulogy, and they all started connecting.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when my human, my patriarchal influenced human starts, oh, I'm not doing enough. We're not reaching enough people. Then the team comes in and says, hey, let us just show you how this works on the earth. It's not just Todd and Soulogy, it's everyone. And you see all the connections made that are not through the methods of measurement or approval from the old paradigm. They're new. It's all energy. So, you know. And
people are ready. So many souls now are ready for that true connection. And you know, whereas before it had to be, oh, your friends from school were the friends you had for life, or it was your friends from work. You've got to have everything in common because you work in the same workplace. But no, and people are not compromising on that anymore. It's more and more difficult to hold the friendships that aren't from that genuine place where you're maybe not on the same page, or you don't feel the same way about things. And I honestly feel that people aren't afraid anymore to accept that, because we don't all have to be loved by everyone and friends with everyone. And there's an acceptance of that with grace, you know?
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it is really, really heartening to see so many people coming together and reaching out you know.
Yeah.
It used to be really hard to reach out.
I'm
Now it's
sure. I can't even imagine. I mean, I woke up in May 2011, and I think back again, you know, especially a lot lately. I've thought about those first 2 years, and I think, what did you know there was something going on like worldwide?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't, but I knew something. I used to say biblical. I said something biblical is going on with me. I don't know. Maybe it's my turn, or, and then then when I came off the street and I started interacting with people and started hearing the different themes, right? Like there was a congruence, or there was a convergence, and you see it a lot now. Like you see stuff now. You see, for instance, like say 3 weeks ago, all these women in particular writing about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about this particular thing. I forget what the topic was this month. There was a couple of topics. These things are up to be cleared. I mean, it's all forward motion, and yet they're all writing about the same thing within 2 or 3 days of each other. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So the connectivity is happening, and there's this thing that's bigger than us. No one's going to stop it. Let's put it that way. And yet, in that occurrence, and like you were saying earlier, that whole acceptance and allowance and integration, there's a field of creation that's created in the moment, in the present, that's not going to be here tomorrow. That's here, and that's what I think we're starting to tap into, which to me is creativity. It is the flow of the feminine. It's what's been suppressed, and I think we're going to see it come out in ways we never imagined, like new art, new genres, new technologies, new ways of living, and so on. It's already started.
It's already started, and we just have to be completely open. Again, let go of the expectations of what we used to think that the divine feminine looked like or show up as. We have to completely let that go and allow her to surface in any and every way that is right within the individual, but also within the collective and through humanity as well. Who are we to know, to think we know how it's going to show up and what it's going to look like?
Exactly.
We haven't got a clue, really. We're all we think we know sometimes, but we really haven't got a clue of the depth and beauty that the feminine and the healing and the compassion that she can bring through if we allow her in and let go of our egos and expectations of what that looks like. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And and we get a little bit tripped up because of the masculine feminine thing. But if you look at if I look at my experience with what I would call the feminine energy or the goddess energy, as I try to like navigate my day, through this work, through my relationship, other relationships, there's something about entering the field, like with you. Okay. There's something about stillness and silence. There's something that's before, during, and after the words exchanged that speaks, because you stop to listen. That to me describes that describes the difference, or a difference, in where we've been and where we are. Because where we were was very patriarchal. Nothing against men, nothing against masculine. This is just the way it was, but very straight and rigid. Everything's a box. Everything's a rule and a regulation and a law and an ordinance and a mandate. This other energy is not. This other energy is not suspicious, is comfortable in its own skin, is a space of total acceptance and nourishment, right? And it's a space of allowance of all things.
Yes.
Like you think about a mother's love. I saw a program the other day watching all these weird things. I don't know why. And it was a guy who flipped out, and he had, I don't know what happened, but he ended up doing some harm to his family. And who went to the jail Once all the information came out and he admitted it, the mother.
Mother.
Where was the mother? Her arm on his back, consoling him under these extremely horrific circumstances, but the mother was there.
Yeah.
Wow. I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
I mean, that's just, but that's indicative of what I'm talking about.
That's the unconditional love,
Mm-hmm.
And what I've been noticing when I've channeled and when the energy comes through me is the collective that I work with have always been about being in presence. It's about the stillness. It's about the silence. It's not about the words or the guidance or information or answering questions. It's about bringing you into a state of presence and being where you can feel what love truly is. If you're open to feeling it, you're going to feel love in a whole new way. But you can't do that if your mind is continually moving, or you're thinking about yesterday, or you're thinking about tomorrow. And the more channelings that I've done, especially recently, it's becoming more and more about stop talking. Let go of the words. Let the speak. Let your body embody. Let your heart feel. Let your cells absorb. We've got to let go of the thinking, that old way of thinking, and allow ourselves to absorb and embody love, stillness, peace, presence, compassion, all of that. But we can't do it if we're still in our minds thinking, oh, what's going to happen next? Or, well, Joe Bloggs told me yesterday that the world's going to end, but now you're telling me we're all going to ascend. And we've got to let go of it all, We've got to let go of it all and just come back into our center and into our heart and into being. And that includes being human.
Yeah, exactly.
Feeling it all, going through the whole processes and discovery and roller coasters, Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this at the risk of maybe alienating, but not you, but what you said. I think that I'm not going to say it that way, but the masculine, I'm feeling it. You mentioned it. I'm seeing. I think I'm on the front end, not like I'm different or better, but I'm consciously, for a few years, asked the universe, let me help in this capacity. I think I've got something to offer, and that would be in the transformation of the masculine energy, right? But there's some rough road. there's some rough shit about to happen here.
Yeah.
But it's like what you said. I say this to myself a lot: shut the F up and get out of the way.
Yes.
So you can allow.
Yeah.
So you can actually see, touch, smell, hear what is not in what's before, during, and after the words.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is again what I said earlier about when you show up all of a sudden, like Morgan and Yvonne, you do this silent, unified gathering. Now, you would never think a bunch of people get together on Zoom and don't say a word for 20 minutes. But I'm telling you, it's a powerful experience.
Yeah.
And so this is where I keep going to is when you get past it all in a given moment. Like for instance, last night, I lay down. I've been playing around with my light body. Now, if you ask me what is that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have like a method. I could do this and then that and then this, and now you watch your light body go to Australia and attempt to bust the move on Morgan, right? But it's not like that. It is this place where I start, and this isn't like a long-term thing. It's been going on for a couple of weeks with more depth. And that is, I'll get to this space. I lay on the couch. Last night's a perfect example. All judgment. Boom, 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 boom. Stop trying to figure everything out. Shut the F up. Get out of the way. Okay, here I am.
Yeah.
And now I'm in familiar territory. I connect in, and all of a sudden I start to feel these tingling on my feet. And I thought, oh, wow. And then I hear, okay, you know, when this used to happen before, and you start, what is that? And that just got to be, shut up.
Yeah.
And just keep going. Now it moves up my legs. Now I can feel my body coming out of my body, my light body coming out. Like, I don't know how to steer this thing. I don't know what to do now. But the one thing that I keep getting pulled back to is shut the F up, get out of the way, so to speak, and just stay in that meditative type of mindset where, you know, where you're not, obviously not controlling thoughts. If something presents, you let it sit, and then, you know, and I think these types of things are the things that are going to make a real impact on us soon, because it will change everything in our lives.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Because you can't go through that experience and then go back to being Todd in your body.
Right.
You've experienced yourself in a different way, in a different vibration, in a different awareness, in a different consciousness. So life changes. I remember one of the first times that I channeled, and the energy came in, and it was the first time that I really really experienced feeling as if I didn't have a body. So the energy comes in so strongly, and whether it's surrounding or embodiment, you know, who really knows, you know, but it felt I had no physical body. I remember thinking, oh, I'll try and move my arm, but there was no arm there. All there was that pure presence and consciousness and that incredible energy. And the human Sally, my mind, it was still the mind chatter, because that's hard. We'd never get rid of that. That's not going to go away. Yeah. The mastery is in allowing it to be there, but not the attachment to it.
Right.
So there was just this experience, and I thought, oh, wow. And more and more and more, I go into the state really easily now, and expanding it and seeing, wow, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
How does this feel? How much of this vibration can I hold? Can the group hold? Can individuals hold? How are we all experiencing this state of being without our physical body being the guiding force?
Yeah.
Or the primary thought? Because we're so used to thinking, oh, I can feel the energy. I've got, I felt a twitch or something shifted within me. It still all relates back to the physical body, because that's what we know. But if we let go of our attachment to having physical experiences and we allow ourselves to expand beyond the physical, imagine what we can do and how we can connect, you know, not just with each other, but with the trees, with the land, you know, and with animals. I'm actually, in September, I'm starting on a diploma course called the Trust Technique, and it's a form of animal healing and communication. And it's all based on peace of mind and stillness.
Yeah.
And when we embody that peace of mind and stillness and have that focus and can hold it, even if it's just like seconds at a time or a minute at a time, that energy is felt by the animal, and they move through a shift with you to release their tension and anxiety. So the interesting thing is, in working with the animal, you're also working with the owner. So everyone's in this experience of complete peace and presence.
Yeah.
And it becomes a healing, but also a self-discovery, because you think, oh my God, I thought my dog was just aggressive, but turns out, you know, and I've actually discovered a way to feel more peaceful with myself and to create a deeper connection that's based on peace of mind and stillness and presence and awareness and self-responsibility. But we have to be willing to let go of the old teachings and the old ways of how we thought a healing would manifest, or a spiritual awakening would show up, or something like that.
All of the above. That's what I mean. Everything's altered. Yes. Everything, you know, we're talking about, I mean, we talk about this. We talk about these things. And we know that as quantum, we're becoming more and more aligned with the facts that that we're in a quantum atmosphere and our thoughts are what's creating everything. And then you start to be conscious and you start to be responsible and so on. But everything is changed. Everything is affected. Like there's no possession. There's no forgiveness. There's no earth love. There's no loyalty, because there's no question of these things. There's no, they're not even there. So you have this, I look at it like this, and this is how I have started to go into like what I talked about last night, which for me, wordlessly is what you're talking about. It's like that. It's almost like an out of body. It is. It's an, okay. So what happens is I get there and I go, okay, I picture I'm in a car. And up until this point, I thought the way that I navigate was to put the keys in the ignition, turn on the car, put it into drive, and start going.
Yeah.
But now I'm being told, sit in the car. There are no keys. It's not electronic. Sit in the car. This is your vehicle, and this would be it.
Yeah.
So it's basically a biological Merkaba.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm told, well, anything you can do in your Merkaba that you've experienced, you can do in this one. Yes. And I'm like, whoa, how do I do this? Well, just put the keys aside, sit in the driver's seat. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of more of a telepathic or sentient relationship.
That's it. Yeah.
Versus this protocol of that came from our experience here as human beings. So this is, you mentioned 180 earlier. I mean, this is a 180. Yeah. It's an all or nothing proposition. And the reason they don't come together or converge is because they're actually total opposites. Right? You can't have one foot or one toe in the water over here in the old paradigm and expect to be, because one thing is very certain, that by hook or by crook or by force or by flow, the universal energy is absolutely demanding that you be present with yourself. Yeah. Until the last stone is turned over. I don't see any other way, No.
I mean, it's the it's the old saying, everything starts within. Mm-hmm. And whereas, maybe before, starting within was, oh, I'm going to meditate on my cushion and send love out to the world. Now it's like, actually, I'm just going to sit here and be completely with my environment, completely with myself. There's no doing or following a guided step-by-step thing. It's about completely being with yourself and allowing yourself to meet what surfaces, what comes, what you feel, and just being in it. It's like I say, we're living it now. We've read the books, we've done the workshops, we've done the courses, and there's so much for us to learn. But we're learning by living it now. Mm-hmm. Everything is moving so quickly. We have to just keep being in the flow, flexible, fluid, open, allowing, and just being completely at home with not knowing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Like you sit in the car, I sit in the car, and you go, what do I do now? And it's like, shut up, don't do anything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's more of a like you said, like you're present.
Yes.
Not knowing what that means or brings. But it definitely is bigger than all of us, and it's creating this at a minimum. It's creating, to me, it's creating a field of potential that is only going to be realized, or that it's the level of its let's say ascension is proportionate or predicated by the human alignment with all other aspects. In other words, the human's on point. The playground is Earth, and the riches of our being is unlimited, but determined by how far we take it through the embodiment. Yeah. And that's what I see happening a lot, like with the lady she met in Harvey Bay, or Morgan herself, or so many of us really making these wholesale changes. Not just the fact that we're making them, because I can name about 10 women right now in the last 2 months that have done this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not so much that they do it. It's also how quick they do it. Like when it comes in, boom.
It's there. Yeah.
That's it. And there's been enough booms that there's a big boom or a big tsunami. And I think that's what's occurring right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll agree. Definitely.
I would love to see these conversations on the mainstream.
Oh, so much.
And I'm going to do everything I can to see that happens. But like even that show, like this show, like what somebody was telling me the other day about something about, God, how do I talk about this without being polarizing? But basically talking about the show compared to other platforms. This is not a, and I was telling them, because they're like, oh, well, you should do this and you should do that. And I'm like, well, go get your own fucking show. You know, I'm kidding. That's what I was thinking. But right. But I said to him, and I normally don't engage that type of thing, not because I judge the other person, because I don't want to go there. Like once I start getting into connotations and labels and descriptions, I'm screwed. So I just said, look, this is a conscious conversation. It's not a Q&A.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. I'm not here to do a dog and pony show or a marketing platform for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to again, we show up, we don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But you just tell the story in present moment.
Exactly.
And that seems to be where the code is. And that seems to be a prerequisite too for the uncomfortableness that is required in order for us to move from the uncomfortable known into the comfortable unknown. Mm-hmm. Because that's really what we're doing. If we were satisfied, we would stay where we're at.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. People, I honestly believe that people are searching even if they don't realize they're searching for something deeper. And, you know, not everyone is going to get to a point where they actually want to dive in or wake up. You know, it's not going to happen to everyone.
Yeah.
And what I feel very strongly is that the more we are just with ourselves and looking after our own energy or our own well-being, or being aware consciously of our thoughts, what we're putting out there, what we're participating in, what we're putting our energy into, that is what is going to help the world most. You know, it's not about, oh, you don't have to stand on a stage and preach anymore. You can just stay at home and radiate love. You know, that to me is the most powerful change and healing you can bring to the world, is being more loving with yourself, being more compassionate with others, allowing others, accepting others, but also holding that strength and that alignment and not being pulled off that roller coaster ride. You know, so I think the true healers and leaders, it's a difficult word, leaders, if you know what I mean, are the people that are just working on love for themselves.
Yeah.
And share that in their own true way. We don't all have to be trailblazing and following torches.
That's a really good point too, because everything is up for review. Okay, so like for instance, we'll just use me as an example because I'm pretty stereotypical. On or about 2012, somebody has a wake up. A trauma or a series of traumas, and they wake up.
Yeah.
And in that waking up, and you can relate to this, and a lot of people can, not only do you become aware of who you are, whatever this is, this journey, this awakening, but you also start to get downloads specific to your mission, right? Like it's Gayatri starts communicating with dragons, downloads dragons, becomes an incredible artist, puts out these cards and so on, and does the sessions. Marita does her paintings, or Todd does Soulogy. And then you get to a point where nothing is an exception. Everything has to be looked at because everything has changed to include my attachment, as an example, in this example, to Soulogy. Oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And I'm here to do this. And this, I guess, asset of our awakening now, like everything else, has to be looked at. Morgan and I did the same thing with our relationship 2 weeks ago. There was no choice. There was a complete separation like never before, conscious and acceptance. And then it comes back in. So there's something about letting go of what we think is dyed in the wool, right? And then we understand that it's relative to this experience, and don't forget that. Because it's bigger. There's something, it's bigger than this whole thing, right? And so I see that happening. I see people that are going, I've been doing it this way. I've been a practitioner. I've been doing it this way for 5 years. And now I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I'm going to make money, but I've been told, put it down and just sit tight. New direction will be coming.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's so strong. It's like you can't ignore it. You know, in the past, if you got those like intuitive hits of, oh yes, I'm going to become a reflexologist, then you would feel it.
Yeah.
And then you would think about it and analyze it and look at courses and maybe think about, well, how's that going to fit in with my day-to-day work or my family? And now it comes in and it's like, oh, that's it. I've got to do that. And and equally the same for stopping. It's like, no, that doesn't resonate anymore. That doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah.
There's no joy in it. There's no alignment. There's no, I want to say passion, but it's not about the passion. It's like you feel it. It's like we're being taken into a state of being where it's kind of like all or nothing.
Yeah, it is all or nothing.
There's no sort of gray ground of, oh, I'll just dip my toe in. Like you were saying before, you can't have one foot in one side and in the other. And it's so strong. But isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
To have that clarity and not to be humming and hawing, thinking, oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, right. No, it's right. Yeah. I mean, we're not being, I mean, there's no doubt that we're not being allowed to go against ourselves. And if we choose to do that through free will or let's just say established behavioral patterns, we're going to find out real quick. And I think a lot of people, probably everybody on this program, everybody watching this right now, can relate to ignoring even recently, even Todd going up to the restaurant last night and treating himself and finding out like this happened actually too the night before, because I cleared out the house. I don't have any snacks. I'm trying to like play it straight. I love eggs. It's my favorite food. I don't have any eggs. Haven't had any eggs in this house for 6 weeks. So I'm doing what I can, but I had a craving because every time I talk to Morgan, she's eating chocolate. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go get some chocolate. Like I need something sweet. Like I don't know what's happening. So I went up to the store and it was late. So I couldn't go to the chemist and get like high quality stuff. I just went to the local store. So I bought an ice cream bar and I bought a chocolate. Right. So I'm driving back home. I open up the chocolate. You know, I pull out a piece that's this big and I stick it in my mouth because that's the way I like to eat things, especially if they taste good. Let it melt and I'm eating this thing, or I'm it's in my mouth, and I'm trying to let it, you know, melt, and I start to get the taste of it, and it tastes. And so this is a Hershey's, which is a pretty, and it tastes like plastic. Yeah, like it tastes like it doesn't even taste like food. And I'm going, what the hell? So I pull over, I spit it out, I throw the chocolate thing out. I get back in the car, I start driving again, and I open up the ice cream. And I don't normally do this, but I had this craving. So I take a bite of the ice cream. The chunk is still in my mouth. I'm going, I throw the ice cream out the window. Same thing happens last night at the restaurant. Right? Like I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I really don't know. But what I do know is I'm being guided, be it whether what you eat or what you do, to do what I need to do. Like it's being shown. No rush, no harm, no foul, no judgment, no wrong choice, only a new choice.
Yes.
And you can always reset and, you know, all that stuff. But it's very humbling to me. It really is. It's as humbling as it's as humbling a period as when I first woke up.
Yeah.
And you see a 12-foot angel, or you know, Jesus is standing there, or, you know, and these things of shape shifting, things like that happen. It's like that. I'm in awe of us.
It's like our bodies are speaking the words that our head isn't ready to hear yet. So
that's right.
It's like I was saying earlier about, you know, my old affinity with kava and crisps. It's like, you know, I've had sort of like 3 weeks now of having the odd glass of wine, but oh my God, my body just repels it. At the time, my head is saying, oh, it's lovely to have a glass of wine again. And then, you know, even just a couple of hours later, I'm like, oh my God, no, my body just does not tolerate it. It doesn't want it anymore. So while my head is fighting against that, my body is having to fight even harder. And there will be the acceptance, you know, at some point, but it's hard for us to let go of what we think our body's craving for or asking for, because it's such a habit.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I told this story a couple of times. I come back from Sedona, and I was on my back for you know 3 or 4 days recovering. Eclipse came. Then I started juicing, and I'm not going to drink alcohol. I mean, it just came in. I had this thing in Sedona the last night. I'm there. Okay, you're not drinking. Is it permanent? Is it? I don't know. Right? I don't care. I'm good. Right? So I'm juicing and so on. Now I'm trying to. I have my laptop on the coffee table. I'm in between processing. Like when things are too, I'm just going to lay down, stare at the ceiling, or watch a show, or I'm going to sit there and work. But what ends up happening is I'm doing this, and all of a sudden I'll get up off the couch and I'll go look for something. And I'd say to myself, what are you doing? Oh, well, I'm going to walk to the kitchen and eat and get something to eat, something to put in my mouth. Right. And or I would get up and go, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. Well, what I found was that the pattern of distraction, we might call addiction, habits, it wasn't about a particular habit, right? It was an energy that encompassed all of them.
That's it.
So be it smoking, drinking, eating, sex, whatever, right? Whatever it is. It could be a lot of things. You know, we don't need to go down the list, but I'm going, oh, wait a minute. I'm just looking for something to put into my body. Yet my body's going, what the fuck are you doing? You know? And then it was that awareness that I started to look at these things and go, okay, what's the difference between a cigarette and chocolate? What's the difference between a beer and a candy bar, right? I mean, or sex, or masturbation, or or keeping myself distracted, being on the internet all day, right? And I started to see a whole new light, and this was in the last month. And I got to believe, as an individual goes, so goes a collective. So these are things that the people that we're talking about, like you, that are leading the way, like you, and I openly say that for myself, this is what they're experiencing. They're actually bringing into reality and anchoring into reality those things that they've always known that they haven't been able to come out with because they would get burned or ridiculed. Right? Or oppressed or suppressed or jailed or imprisoned. But now the fairies, the galactics, the elementals, but most of all, the multi-dimensional human is coming online as a result of this. Yeah, absolutely. And we're meeting ourselves, you know, and we're allowing ourselves to meet ourselves. I think, you know, these behaviors
have been a form of numbing and dumbing ourselves down.
Mm-hmm.
And they're taught to us from a very young age, and finally we're in a place and a state of being where we're ready to let go of that and meet our own potential, meet and live our truth.
Yeah. I saw a sister, a beautiful, beloved, powerful sister like you yesterday, friend of mine. I won't mention the name because whatever. But she said, in other words, she said, I am in my truth now more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this isn't about the issue. This is about a soul sovereignty. She said, I will not back off, even if it means physical death. And I was like, whoa. And then she went on to talk about getting jabbed or not getting jabbed. Now, this was her own personal truth. Now, this was on the heels of this show I did yesterday with Annie, who just went through a gender transition, 42 years old, parent of 2, married with the same partner before, during, after. Incredible story in itself. They have like a family unit in Canada. I think it's the eastern side of Canada. So you got the grandmother, 96 years old. Now, our friend, Susan, came from the other side of Canada to come see family. Now, the whole family has had a vaccination. Susan has not.
Yeah.
Now, she's going back to find alignment with family. And it was an incredible story. Yeah. Yet, here were these people in this field of play, of creation, with the issue, which is a big issue, in today's world, with this the gender thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the impact on the family. And we all know how that goes as light workers. Like, our families disowned us and we're crazy and we're the black sheep. Yet here this lady goes in after much discussion with this other group, and she's one and they're many. And it was so beautiful. Another story within the story, she's like, well, they accepted me. They accepted that I'm not going to be vaccinated. And she was saying, and I accept what they're doing. And here are these 2 people having this discussion on the air, and it was totally friendly. Like, there was no, hey, you should do this, or you should, there was none of that. No. It was just acceptance. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's happening in this household, it's got to be happening everywhere. And that's the real wild card to me. And that's what I said to Morgan last night. How many women are like that in this world? Because regardless of whether they get any attention or support, which they are, or that, well, otherwise wouldn't be happening, but it's not happening like on a global scale and on the mainstream media. Regardless of how little or much attention they get, which is none, it's still a force that can't be stopped.
Absolutely.
No matter what. Yeah. There's no army can stop that.
No.
Right?
No, absolutely not. Because we're living it. We're living it. And that acceptance that you've just described, that is, oh my goodness, that is pure love.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. In a world that's becoming even more divided, these stories that come to light just really inspire us to keep holding the line, as it were, of compassion, love, acceptance, and allowing.
Her daughter, Annie, at one point, because I thought it was fascinating. Like, how fascinating is that? Because I think of my big family, my extended family, for one of them to come in and be married, have 2 kids, have the courage. He told me that when he approached his partner and told the partner, which was early last year, like right around when COVID started, they spent 4 months every night till 2 a.m. talking about the situation. And then they came out with a unified front, and the rest is history. And I'm thinking, there's actually a place that you can go play, and this is what it looks like. Like, if that's incredible. That's unbelievable. I mean, and yet it's there. And how many are like that?
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing. I mean, you probably have it in your household with your partner. I mean, I have it with Morgan. I mean, it's happening everywhere. But wow, that's just like so almost unbelievable
Mm-hmm.
to have that level of acceptance anywhere in this world on a playground that has a fair and accurate representation of all the energies
Mm-hmm.
on the earth.
Absolutely. That's the light. Those
Exactly.
are
Yeah.
That's the light. That's the truth of where we all, I want to say head, but it's where we're at. But some of, we're not fully living it yet. But that's the beauty of what the potential is around us for living and being. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Do you, so you mentioned an energy complex, or it sounds like a multifaceted aspect that you communicate with.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I don't know if I ever asked you this before, but so what do you know what that energy complex is, and do you channel like publicly on a whim? That's my weak ass way of asking you if you want to channel. And there's no pressure. I just try to look for opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, they are. And if they're not, they're not. But I just thought I'd ask, because I consider you to be very much what I am looking to align within myself. And what that is true authenticity, very raw, very simple, and not checking out, but certainly fortifying your own energy field and that of those you love. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's refreshing. So anyway, anything you have to offer, anything you want to do is up to you. And there's no pressure and there's no nothing.
It takes me a bit of a while to go into the full trance.
Really?
Fully embodied. So I really appreciate the invitation. Mm-hmm. But what I can do is just go into a light trance and bring through the energy just quite lightly, without going fully into it. And I could share some light language, and that might bring through. Or
yeah, that sounds good. I was going to ask you. So when you connect and you have the time to go in deep, how does that work? Do you have a question answer session? Do you just open up and what is meant to be presented will be presented? And is there anything else that kind of stands out?
The process in the very beginning was literally people coming to be in the energy. So it was completely a channeling and an embodiment of, I call them star beings.
Okay.
I don't know. There's no label. There's no names. They've made that very clear from the very beginning, that no attachment or definition or whatever is to go with it. It all comes down to love and then feeling that energy. And people move through experiences, whether it's a physical healing or an emotional breakthrough or a spiritual experience that brings them beyond just feeling that they're the body and the mind. So it can't be defined, which makes it kind of like a bit difficult to describe. But when I open up to this healing stream, you can meet yourself through the energy. And and it was a couple of years ago, the light language started coming through, and it was like, well, I'm not really sure about this. I'm not sure if I want to be sounding like this or doing this, but actually it's not about me. It's about what they're bringing through. It's about the frequencies and the sounds.
Yeah.
So I think if I do something just now, I'll just take us into the energy.
Yeah.
There'll be a little bit of stillness while I just try and get out the way really quickly.
Yeah, I get that one. Yeah.
And then we'll just see.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah.
And the light language is quite different. I think Dr. Joe Delaney's on there at the moment. He was the one that called it universal Morse code. because
Oh,
it's
cool.
more like sounds rather than a language, as it were.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let's give it a shot. We'll give it a
Yeah,
shot.
that sounds good. Thanks, Sally. Very cool.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to close my eyes. And if anyone wants to come into the energy, you can close your eyes as well. Let's take a conscious breath together into our hearts. Letting go, coming into this moment, landing in the here and now. Feeling the love of Mother Earth supporting us and holding us. And opening our hearts to all that is within us and around us. The universe, the love, the wisdom, the healing. And just allow yourself to drop even deeper into your heart, into your inner world. Feel your light expanding, your body expanding. Feel yourself moving beyond your limits. Getting out of your mind and dropping into your heart. I'm just going to go quiet as the energy builds, and we'll see what comes through with the language. So just a few moments of silence and stillness. Te yo yaran ma kada ma giri ba ta ba ma giri ba ta bi ka ba ka yaran ma kiri kiri ba ta ma kiri ba ta ma yaran ma kiri ba ka kita tattare horiyan ma nya ma kiri ba kini ma kiri ba ta ma kiri ba ka ba ran ma kiri ba ka ma kiri ba ta ma ta ma kiri ba ran ma kiri ba ta ma ya ka kiri ba kita to yaran ma kiri ba kita kiri ba kiri ma kiri ba kini ma kiri ba ta ma yaran ma kiri ba kita ma kiri ba ka kiri ba kita Teta hoya ma yana kikin ba ta ma kito to paketa teta to yaran nan ma yaran nan ma kiri paketa mi kito paketa paketa tam paketa 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 tam paketa 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 tata to ma kete to tata to no ma kete to paketa ma kete paketa ma kete to paketa ma kete ra tan ma kiri ran ma kiri paketa ma kiri paketa 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 tata to nya ma kiri paketa tata no yaran na mo kata ya na tata ma kiri ra yo to ma kiri paketa baran ma kiri paketa Tata makit kid baketa. Te home kama yaran makit kid bakit kid bakit kid makit kid bakit makit kid bakita to makit kid bakita pa tata maran na makata makit kid bakita. Te tan wa yaran na makit kid bakit kita. Just allowing yourself to feel, to sense, and to be, and allowing all to be exactly as it is. Using your breath to come more back into your physical body, grounding with Mother Earth. And taking a deep breath. And as you release your breath, moving your body back in the here and now. And as you open your eyes, sharing the love with the world, being there, love.
Holy macaroni. I've heard a hell of a lot of light language. I've never heard one like that. Yeah. There was a, for me, there was a, I don't know, it was almost like a history. Like I could feel the organic, the earth, almost like I could see the evolution of language, right? And then you could also feel the link prior to that, right?
Mhm.
Like what we might call galactic or such. Almost like there must be a level of soul signature or tribe signature that comes out in the pure light languages that in itself is code in history and information and memory, right? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
That,
I've got,
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've got no idea.
Well,
No
that's
idea.
the beauty. That's the beauty of it.
And I refuse steadfastly to say, well, this is a light language for clearing, or this will be a light language for that. I won't go down that route, because
No.
how do I know? I've not got a clue. It just, whatever comes through,
Yeah.
and
Well,
everyone's.
you can't fake that, what you just did. That's
I've tried.
has it, right? Well,
Doing it.
yeah. I mean, but look, this is one of the things that we've been challenged with: is you receive something, and you want to go out and share it because A, we're clever, and B, we
Yeah.
know that there's some type of service, you know, some type of service, you know, that's part of the reason we get it, so we can spread it. But I love the, I don't know. To me, that's probably the three smartest words or the smartest phrase in this ascension is I don't know.
No.
Regardless of what it is, right?
Yeah.
Now that was very cool, and I really appreciate you doing that with us. I just got to ask you. So your partner, you guys, is he still up there with you?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yes.
So what did he do the first time he heard that come out of your?
It's not really his cup of tea.
I know, because I remember talking to you before, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, if I don't know, but there was actually something over your right shoulder that just started shining at us. I don't know what the hell that was.
That's,
but
just there. Oh no, that's the other side. Just there.
No, the first side. There it is again.
Oh, that is. There's a road over there.
Oh, I see it now. It's moving.
It's getting
it
dark.
moved behind. Yeah, I was going to say. Hopefully, we have a little visitation going on here.
Oh, I wish. How cool would that be?
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be?
It really would. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I know we've gone over a little bit, but I want to just get your. As I love talking to you. You're so beautiful.
I love this.
You're so real. Like you know, God, I could just go on. But how do you feel about this? I mean, like because every day I'm in uni, and I think we all are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bed at night. Like last night, I'm ready. Give me more. And we've all been through that. You know, be careful what you ask for, kind of thing. But like I can feel it. I can feel like on the edge, or just this close to being able to do so. And I can't really tell you specifically what it is. Maybe it's telepathy. Maybe it's bilocation or teleportation or all the above. But one thing that I'm feeling, and I don't understand it, and I don't know if this is how it works, and I guess that's why I'm asking you. But it's almost like if I can get to this state that you're talking about, where you're, and it happened to me last night, where you're not even in your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even laying where you're laying anymore. It seems like there's no direction from me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've reached this state. Now I want to go to Australia and see Morgan or whatever it may be. It's not like that. It's like I get into this state and then it just takes over.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't, is that how it works? Do you think?
I don't know how it works, to be honest, but I think when we get into that state, the whole mind of, okay, well, what will I do now? is very human. And when we're in that state, we're not really in our human mind. So we don't, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that it is what it is. And as much as we want to make it into something more or understandable, where we think we get an outcome or we have an experience where it can be proven or understood.
Yeah, right.
But I think we have to be willing to completely let go of that and allow it to be what it is, and allow what unfolds within that with complete trust of the energy that's holding us, because we do intuitively know, but our mind is still there trying to sort of, I don't want to say manipulate, but our mind is still there trying to sort of control and understand it and explain it. So
that's the part I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Turn that off, right?
Turn it off.
Well, I mean, but it feels like it goes on cruise control.
Yes.
Or that there is a cruise control, and the cruise control is interrupted or impeded by what you're talking about.
Yeah. Certainly, you know, when I am in the full trance, there's no time. I've got no idea, no sense of time, no sense of body, no sense of my surroundings at all. And it just is. And it's really hard to describe.
Yeah.
Because it's beyond our comprehension. It's like you have to feel it or experience it to understand it, but not from a mental point of understanding. It's from an energetic or bodily sense of understanding it, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. That gets me closer to understanding when I don't need to. Right. But no, because it's weird. Okay, I'm trying, you're helping me. Okay, because it's hard to explain, but what I'm getting to is that it feels like everything I'm looking at, right, is totally not what I think it is, be it a tree or a car, right? I mean, and that there's something right on the other side of it that includes everything I'm looking at, but in a totally different way. And I can feel it. I can't really explain it. But I can feel it, and that's why I said it. Okay, so I get to that space like last night, and it just went on automatic pilot. Like I didn't have a say, so I want to go do this, I want to go do that. It wasn't like that. Yeah. But in that experience, I started to feel, I think, or realize, or feel somewhere in between there. I'm actually always on automatic pilot. Like regardless of what free will decisions I make, I'm actually on automatic pilot. And maybe that's could be brought down to, we have an innate mechanism in us that is always looking for growth, you know, something like that. I don't know, but whatever it is, it seems like from, I don't know, I want to say about a week ago. Maybe this is another integration period and understanding period, comprehension period, but man, that period from 7/7 to about a week, that was brutal. Everybody's like brutal. And then we're coming out of it and it's like, oh my God, look at the new world. So it's exciting. Yeah. Really? So let me ask you one last question. Thank you so much for taking so much time. Hour turns into hour and 47 minutes, and I hope that's okay. Tell your partner thank you, and love to have y'all on anytime you want to come on, even if he's not, you know, because it's not what we think, right? But another thing that seems to be, that would make sense to me, and I could be wrong, but the de-emphasis or the fading away in our personal spheres of experience, of reality, of living consciousness, but the fading away of the presentation of the fear programming on a global level. Like, to me, it feels like that's part of the automatic pilot. Like, hey, you know, you can impose this, you can impose that, you can do this, you can do that, but I'm done, kind of thing. That's what it feels like to me. Like I'm looking at that going, oh, well, wait a minute. If there's a bunch of these people around the earth that are saying, I'm done, I'm Sally and my partner, I'm living up in the mountains in Spain, and bring it on, rip the Band-Aid off, right? Like energetically, that's going to have a huge impact. That's got to.
Yeah. Isn't
like
it
it's got to.
Yeah. But I think more and more of us are ready for that. Just bring it on. I was watching our lovely Melissa Dehan and Martin and Martina was on there, and Yvonne Skelly as well. And they were saying that Whereas before there was like we're staying neutral, we're staying calm, and it's all okay. It's like all of a sudden there's a fire. It's like, this is it. It's like the line has been drawn, the fire has been lit, and it's not just going to, it's like something has shifted in me as well. It's not a fight or flight response. It's just like, right, okay, this is it now, game on. And I'm not going to play the game that you know the old wants me to play.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm not going to sit here passively, but I'm not going to be a warrior in the old sense.
Yes.
Right. You're
exactly.
just, again, watching these 2 or 3 parts of horror movies, or what you would call horror thriller movies or whatever. There was another one that I was watching, and it was about this girl who was basically being, whatever, visited or harassed, and at some point with this seemingly supernatural entity that she's confronted with, she just says, "Hey, fuck it, man. I'm done. Bring it on." She goes and gets a weapon, and I mean, like she's defenseless, basically, because it's an off-planet, off-universe type of force. But she says, "I don't care. I'm done. You want to take me? Come on, but it's not just going to be that easy." Right. And I think that's what I'm talking about. It's like enough is enough. And I think that force coming from particularly the suppressed feminine in women and even in men as time goes on, that force alone will counter anything that's thrown out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're talking about a force that here's another thing too. So let's say a natural disaster occurs and there's no electricity for an extended period of time. Like, I don't think that type of spiritually founded or a soul that's evolved to that level is going to be affected. I mean, obviously the human aspect is going to be affected, and we're always going to have concern and compassion and empathy for other people. And oh my God, that's horrible. But no, like this game is not bigger than me, kind of thing.
Exactly. It's like you've been saying before, we're discovering, and it's sovereignty. We are here. This is us. This is our truth. This is who we are. And it's all the layers are coming off and there's no hiding from it, and we actually want to own it and live it now, whereas before we could have weaved in and out of everyday life and fitted in a bit here and fitted in a bit there, but no, not anymore. No, this is it.
No more compromising.
No more compromise.
And everybody, and that was the thing about, like, with that show yesterday, the whole family vaccinated, yet they're very open. They have a significant family member going through this change. Who's got 2 children and a wife. Yeah. They're supportive. Yet they chose what some people might say is programming. Yes. Or enslavement. Now, here's the other one over here who hasn't been vaccinated, who steps into this field of play and sustains her sovereignty as they have sustained theirs.
Yes. Yeah.
So here's a great example to me, because if you look at the target group over here that got jabbed, theoretically, they have been altered. Well, what is the fucking difference between that and GMOs, and we've all consumed them, fluoride, and we've all consumed it, chemtrails, and we've all been exposed to it, subliminal program on TV. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. So the amazing thing to me was the power of the individual sovereignties of these people and the mutual respect, honor, love, and reverence they had for each other. Now, you cannot F with that. No, like, there's nothing that can be produced in this realm, in this lesser, you know what I mean? There's nothing that can contend with that. Nothing. No, not nothing. Even what they call physical death,
No.
So that's what you exhibit to me. That's what
Oh,
you've always exhibited to me. Well, because it's one thing to have this high level intel, and it's another thing to have the high level intel, which to me, I've always been awestruck by it. Like if I look at Morgan, I think, how in the hell can you take in all this information and not have an ego the size of Alaska? I think it's a tremendous opportunity presented to people like yourself. But so what I'm trying to say is to be down to earth and to have that connection and hold them in balance. That's it. And it sounds simple and not fantastical and not starships and visitations from Kuan Yin and stuff, but it's the God in the flesh or the goddess in the flesh embodying and walking the talk.
Yeah. And it's all of us, you know, it's all of us. We are everything and nothing, and we all have this within us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's everyone has this.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It
And
really
you're
is.
beautiful, and I appreciate you, and I don't know what else to say. I love collaborating with you, and God,
I've loved chatting with you. It's been so brilliant. I don't know if you can still see me, but it's just.
Are you kidding? It could be pitch dark and we could still see you. You're beautiful, Sally. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too,
And
Todd.
I love you. I love you. I think you're amazing. And best to you and your partner. And until the next time.
Until the next time. Love to everyone. I've been watching the comments. Thank you so much. It's been really fabulous to see the comments come through. And thank you for everything you do, Todd. You're amazing. You're beautiful as well.